Congresswoman Ilhan Omar says her voice will only get louder and stronger now that she has been removed from the House Foreign Affairs Committee.
Ilhan Omar's name has once again surged into headlines, this time linked to a bombshell surrounding the possibility of deportation. The notion alone carries a gravity that sends shockwaves across political, cultural, and legal landscapes. For a sitting member of Congress to face even the suggestion of such a development feels almost surreal. Yet it has ignited a storm of discussion that refuses to quiet down. Omar, one of the most recognizable figures in American politics today, finds herself thrust into an unprecedented storm that blends questions of immigration law, national loyalty, and the fragile nature of political identity in the United States. Before we start, smash the like and subscribe buttons for more updates. The news that whispers of deportation are circling has set off alarms for both her supporters and her critics. For those who see her as a groundbreaking figure, an immigrant, a woman of color, and a Muslim who broke barriers to enter Congress, the idea of her removal from the country seems unthinkable. Yet for her detractors, this potential move feels like vindication, a moment that confirms long-held suspicions and narratives they've woven around her past. The implications stretch far beyond Omar herself, touching on America's values, its political divisions, and the precarious balance between law and politics. At the center of this storm is Omar's unique story. Born in Somalia and raised in a refugee camp before arriving in the United States, her journey has long been framed as a triumph of the American dream. Rising from immigrant roots to sit in the halls of Congress is no small feat, and Omar has often been celebrated for embodying the very ideals of opportunity that America projects to the world. Yet the very background that made her inspirational has also made her vulnerable to relentless scrutiny. Her immigration process, her personal history, and the decisions made along the way have been dissected more than almost any other politician's. This renewed focus on deportation suggests that the story isn't just about her achievements, but also about whether those achievements are under threat of being erased. The political implications of such news are staggering. If a sitting member of Congress can be threatened with deportation, it raises questions about the stability of America's democratic institutions. The act of deporting someone in her position would be unprecedented in modern American history, potentially creating a precedent that could ripple far into the future. It would suggest that political disagreements and past controversies could intertwine with immigration law in ways never seen before. Omar's case, therefore, is not just about her. It is about what it means to belong, to be accepted, and to serve in a system that can turn on its own. Omar's critics have long accused her of being out of step with American values. They have pointed to statements she's made, policies she's backed, and alliances she's formed as evidence that she is not fully aligned with the United States. These criticisms, while often politically motivated, take on new significance in the light of deportation rumors. Suddenly, what was once rhetorical criticism transforms into a tangible threat. The difference between questioning someone's loyalty and questioning their right to remain in the country is profound. And Omar now stands at that intersection. For her supporters, the very idea of deportation reeks of political persecution. They argue that Omar has become a target not because of her actions, but because of who she is. A Muslim immigrant woman who has challenged the political establishment and spoken against powerful interests. To them, this bombshell isn't about legal technicalities. It's about silencing dissent and intimidating communities who see Omar as their voice in Congress. The fear is not just that Omar could be deported, but that the precedent could extend to others who dare to defy the status quo. The broader immigration debate in America adds another layer of complexity. Deportation is a reality for thousands of immigrants every year, many of whom have built lives, families, and communities in the United States. Omar's situation throws a spotlight on how fragile immigrant status can feel, even for those who have seemingly made it. If someone at the highest levels of government can be threatened with removal, what does that mean for ordinary immigrants who lack the resources, visibility, or platform to defend themselves? Her case becomes symbolic, embodying the uncertainty and vulnerability that millions of immigrants face daily. The shock factor also lies in timing. At a moment when America is already grappling with deep polarization, economic uncertainty, and cultural battles, Omar's situation acts as fuel to an already raging fire. Each side of the political divide seizes upon the news for its own purposes. Conservatives see it as validation of their concerns, proof that the system is finally catching up to someone they've long viewed with suspicion. Progressives, on the other hand, see it as an attack on democracy itself, a warning that diversity and dissent are being systematically targeted. The divide sharpens, and Omar becomes the lightning rod at the center. The media circus surrounding the potential deportation amplifies the sense of panic. Every headline, every social media post, and every cable news debate magnifies the drama, creating an environment where fact and speculation blur. Omar's political career, personal history, and public persona are all being thrust under the harshest spotlight imaginable. In the court of public opinion, the verdict is often decided not by evidence but by perception, and that makes her situation even more precarious. The intensity of this coverage ensures that no matter the outcome, Omar's name will be forever linked to this moment of uncertainty. Her colleagues in Congress are also forced into uncomfortable positions. To speak out in her defense risks, drawing the ire of critics who frame this as a legal issue rather than a political one. To stay silent risks alienating supporters who see this as a fundamental issue of justice. Omar's predicament thus becomes a test not only for her but for those around her, testing their courage, their principles, and their willingness to confront the political storm. The choices they make now will not only shape Omar's future but also reveal much about the character of the institution they serve. The emotional weight on Omar herself cannot be underestimated. To face the possibility of deportation while serving as an elected official must carry a surreal, destabilizing effect. The panic described in the headlines isn't just political theater, it reflects the real human cost of living under constant scrutiny and threat. Even for someone who has faced criticism as relentless as Omar, this represents an escalation unlike anything before. The psychological strain, the toll on her family, and the uncertainty of her position all combine to create a deeply personal storm inside a very public battle. This moment also highlights the fragility of political legitimacy. Omar's entire career has been built on the legitimacy of her election, her ability to represent her district, and her right to speak as an American lawmaker. Deportation would strip all of that away in an instant, turning her from a representative of the people into a political exile. That possibility alone forces a reckoning with how quickly legitimacy can be granted, and just as quickly revoked. It raises questions about whether political legitimacy in America is rooted in principles of democracy or contingent on fitting into acceptable narratives. The reactions from ordinary Americans will also shape the trajectory of this situation. For immigrant communities, Omar's potential deportation strikes close to home. It reinforces the idea that no level of success or integration can shield someone from suspicion or removal. For other Americans, it may serve as a test case for broader debates about what it means to be a citizen, a patriot, or a threat. The national conversation becomes one not just about Omar, but about the country itself, about who belongs and who doesn't. On the international stage, the story reverberates in powerful ways. Omar is not just a figure in American politics. She is also a symbol for communities around the world who look to the U.S. as a beacon of democracy and diversity. Her potential deportation undermines that image, sending mixed signals about what the country stands for. It complicates America's role as a global advocate for human rights and inclusion, exposing contradictions that critics abroad are quick to highlight. Omar's story thus extends far beyond American borders, touching global perceptions and international relations. The underlying tension in all of this is the clash between law and politics. Deportation is a legal process, but when it involves someone like Omar, it cannot be separated from its political context. The intertwining of these two forces makes the situation both more volatile and more symbolic. Every argument about legality is also an argument about politics, and every political debate about Omar is shadowed by legal implications. This duality ensures that the situation remains unpredictable, with no clear path forward. As speculation swirls, one thing is undeniable. Omar's position has become one of the most precarious in American politics. Whether the deportation threat is rooted in actual legal proceedings or in amplified political rhetoric, the impact is the same. It casts a shadow over her future, raises doubts about her stability, and injects chaos into an already fractured political environment. Her story becomes less about her policies or positions and more about her very existence in the United States. The panic suggested in the headlines reflects not just Omar's personal reaction, but also the collective anxiety of those who see themselves in her. It is the panic of immigrant families wondering if success in America truly guarantees security. It is the panic of political allies who fear what this means for dissent within the system. And it is the panic of ordinary Americans who see in Omar's story a reflection of the country's struggle to reconcile its ideals with its actions. This unfolding situation encapsulates the contradictions of modern America, a nation that celebrates diversity while questioning its boundaries, that preaches freedom while debating exclusion, that elevates outsiders only to remind them of their vulnerability. Omar's potential deportation embodies these contradictions in stark relief, making her story not just personal but profoundly national. Every moment that passes with this cloud hanging over her adds to the sense of urgency and tension. Omar stands at a crossroads where her personal history, her political career, and the identity of the nation itself intersect. The news of her potential deportation is more than a headline. It is a mirror reflecting back the deep fissures and unresolved questions at the heart of the American experiment. If you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Also, leave your comments below and tell us, what are your thoughts on Ilhan Omar possibly facing deportation news? We want to hear from you. Thank you for watching and see you next time.